Property ownership is not a requirement for you to host a rental property, and you don't need to bend the law to do it either. My name is Michael Crockett, and I own and operate a short-term and mid-term rental hosting company called ARBitrage. I personally have hosted rental properties that I didn't actually own, and I can reliably say that not only is it possible to do this successfully, but it's what I would recommend to someone who's just starting out their career as a property host. So property ownership is a big hurdle that a lot of people think they have to get over before hosting a short-term or a mid-term rental. But there's a strategy called rental arbitrage that allows you to lease properties and then sublease the same properties out to renters. It's just that most people don't hear about it until later in their career as a property host. Or if they do hear about it right away, it sounds like a little too good to be true because most people leave out the drawbacks, which is not what we're going to be doing in this video. So first, let's cover the strategic differences between owning a property and using an arbitrage strategy. I want to say straight out the gate that both of these methods can be viable. It just depends on your personal goals and where the market is in the area that you plan on investing in. If you're torn between owning and using the arbitrage strategy, check out this video on my channel that breaks down why each strategy might be appealing depending on what you're trying to achieve. But for a super quick rundown, the reason someone might want to own the property that they're renting out is because it allows them to have more control over the physical asset, and it also gives them equity over time. Owning the property can really secure your income for years to come, but the biggest drawback is that it takes significantly longer to see that result. As a more neutral thing to note, you'll also be in charge of all the maintenance, the insurance, the finances, etc. For some people, this is exactly what they want. For others, not so much. So I'll let you decide whether it's a good thing or whether it's a bad thing. When it comes to rental arbitrage, you'll see that profits come a lot faster than you would with owning the property. You also usually have to worry about maintaining the property. And of course, you don't have to come up with a huge amount of capital that you would need to buy it. So this strategy as a whole is a lot lighter and more nimble than ownership. So why might someone use the arbitrage strategy? Well, a lot of investors use this method because if you play your cards right, it's a really profitable business model. The hardest part is setting up your processes and getting everything going. But once you've built up that momentum, it's a relatively easy business to manage. Plus, short-term and mid-term rentals are especially more profitable than traditional long-term rentals, meaning you can essentially borrow someone else's property to make a ton of profit and not need to worry about committing to anything at all, including the property itself. That flexibility in pricing and occupancy rates, for example, during peak seasons or special events, can lead to way higher returns because you can adjust prices to maximize the revenue. This is something that's a lot harder to do with long-term rentals. In most cases, you'll also have control over the property and expenses without the huge financial burden of ownership. You have decision-making power in how the property is used and can scale your business more quickly than owning. And plus, you avoid the responsibilities that come with owning a property, like the maintenance, which sucks. Your freed up capital can be used to invest in additional properties and expand your portfolio. In my own hosting experience, I didn't know about rental arbitrage right away. So I had to deal with all the responsibilities that came with owning a property, which meant I had to get sufficient insurance and do tons of research to ensure I had a successful foundation for hosting. When I say tons of research, I mean tons. But then I learned about the arbitrage strategy from YouTube, actually. I followed people who had success with it and I learned from their experiences. So I didn't have to figure it out for myself. Still, despite this, I was super nervous the first time I implemented rental arbitrage, which is actually a pretty common feeling for people who are doing it for the first time. What I did to get over it was I started going out and looking for properties so I could get repetitions of talking to property owners and explaining why it would be mutually beneficial for me to host a short-term rental with their property. If I could explain to them that their property would be well taken care of and the systems I had in place could bring in a paycheck for them, they were a lot more likely to follow through with letting me borrow their property. So if you want to see success quickly, or I should say, if I could go back in time and change one thing to see success faster than I did, I probably would have built my team more quickly so we can manage a wider portfolio sooner rather than later. Having a team that really knows what they're doing and can handle various aspects of the business has been invaluable. The reason the team is so valuable is because a lot of processes that we're using now are standardized, meaning all I have to do is research a particular market that I'm interested in, then pick a property and then go visit that property or review photos. And then from there, I can make contact with the owner, ask some general questions to make sure the property is a good fit, negotiate terms, and finalize the contract. And then let the team handle the rest. All I really have to do is find a property and negotiate. A deal that really works well for rental arbitrage. I will say the negotiation aspect can be a huge drawback for some people, but the potential benefits heavily outweigh the drawbacks, especially considering that you would have to negotiate to buy the property too. Not getting away from negotiating. So to those that are thinking about using this strategy, the biggest thing I would say is to remember to complete your research before confirming a property. Are there any local regulations preventing you from using this strategy? If you can use it, is the market even profitable? Is the property going to be able to produce the revenue that you need? Don't be so excited that you take the first yes from a property owner. Take the right yes. Analyze the location, demand, and the potential earnings thoroughly. Consider the long-term viability and make informed decisions that align with your goals. Also, as a side note, maintain a good relationship with the property owners. This is key. Clear communication and transparency are key to make sure that you outline how the property will be used, how you plan to maintain it, and the benefits they will receive. Like I was saying earlier, if you can do this, it builds trust and makes it easier to negotiate favorable terms. So whatever strategy you fall on, just make sure you're going into it well informed. Most strategies, including this one, are pretty simple, but there's no single video or article on the internet that knows the exact context of your situation and can make a decision for you. And hey, if you like this video, make sure you subscribe to see more content like this so that you can make yourself wealthy in the future.